Latha noted, I'm in California. It's a little after 8 a.m. here, so your conference is starting 4 a.m. our time, but also through the center, I'm not just teaching classes where I'm just grading and finalizing classes. We run a whole bunch of co-curriculars, and we have a lot of graduation programs affiliated with that. And we're hosting the Sunstone Startup Launch next week, which is a Cal State-wide competition. We have 15 campuses converging on our campus, bringing their top 2 entrepreneurs to compete for $200,000 worth of prizes. So it's just a super busy time for us, but I'm really excited to share what we're doing at Cal State. Can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
We're good to go. Okay, let me see if I can maximize it. There we go. So I was asked to talk about building an entrepreneurial engine in a minority serving institution. The Cal State experience. I'm specifically at Cal State University,
Sorry,
Northridge.
we have like a notes and a presentation view, so maybe you can.
So is this better than this view?
Oh,
If you go back to the presentation and then you click the display settings, you can switch your monitors. So up at the top, that second.
Now we're getting all messed up. Okay.
Oh, where it says display settings at the top?
No, I don't see it. Okay. Hold on a minute. Oh. Share. Okay, display settings. Under layout or more?
you can present.
When you,
yeah.
Lakshmi, do you want to put your slides up then, so we're not playing around with this during the presentation?
Sure, I can do that.
Yeah, let's just do that so we're not playing around with it.
Yeah. Just give me 1 second. And
So I'll talk a little bit while she's pulling this up. So I'm at Cal State University in Northridge. It's the Cal State system is a 23 campus system. And we are one of the larger campuses in the Cal State system. We have 38,000 plus students on our campus, and that's one campus. So we're not a multi-campus site. But as Latha noted, we are a minority serving institution, and specifically a Hispanic serving institution, and also recently designated as a Black serving institution as well. So can we switch the slide, please? I'm not sure if I have that control. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about today is CSUN, a little bit about CSUN, why the CSUN context matters for entrepreneurship, and the creation of the Center for Social and Technology Entrepreneurship, which is our vehicle for providing and offering programming at CSUN. And then I want to talk about that CSUN entrepreneurship journey, how we've mapped out what we're doing and where we're going along the way. Next slide, please. So CSUN, as I mentioned, they were a comprehensive university, part of the 23 campus Cal State system. We have 9 academic colleges on our campus. We have engineering, we have education, we have health sciences, we do have tech components. We are not offering very many doctoral programs. It's more in the EDD space, mostly an undergraduate serving institution, which matters when you're talking about tech entrepreneurship, because we don't have research spillovers, research flow out of research labs. Excuse me. But we do offer all those kinds of programs at the undergraduate level. So we're serving mostly undergraduates. We have 56% students that are Hispanic or Latino identifying as that. So the criteria for an HSI, Hispanic Serving Institution, is 25%. We significantly exceed that. And we also have 5% Black African American students. For a BSI, it's not the number of students that you have, but more about showing that you have a commitment to serving Black students. So we have reached that designation just this past year. And overall, we have 77% of students who identify as students of color. So we're definitely working in a diverse space. But in addition to that, and many of these things run along with serving as a minority serving institution, we have 60% of students that are Pell Grant eligible. That means low income students. So we're dealing with students with coming from families of low income. 69% are first-gen college students, meaning that their parents did not go to college, and they are the first generation having the opportunity to go to college. 72% of our students work. And it's not work for spending money. Many of them are working to pay for college and expenses. So this is very serious in the sense that they can't just stop working, and we have to deal with that. And it could be pizza delivery, landscaping. It's not necessarily working in a field that they're going to get their degrees in. And 50% of them are working over 22 hours a week. And by the way, and they're attending school full time. So we are competing with their time at the workplace as well. 95% of our students commute to campus. They're living off campus. We don't have very many dorms. And they're commuting approximately 35 miles on a round trip. So an hour a day minimum for traveling to campus. As I mentioned, we're mostly undergraduate. We have 32,700 undergraduates, currently 5,500 graduate students. Next slide, please. Why does this matter? Well, this creates a whole host of problems. You know, I taught at New York Institute of Technology in Manhattan over near Columbus Circle. I've also taught at Michigan Tech University. That's how I met Lefta. It's a whole new ballgame here at Cal State. Because of this diversity that we have, it creates unusual challenges. Number one, we are dealing with a diverse, underrepresented student population. These are students that are not typically represented, especially at these numbers in college. But also, these are underrepresented groups in the space of entrepreneurship as well. So we have that double piece there. They have limited financial safety net. Think about the student who can go ahead and launch a startup, and mom and dad can kind of cover them, cover their rent, cover their car bill, whatever it is if they need it. These students, as first-gen students, are quite often coming from poor families. They don't have that. And in turn, there's an enormous amount of pressure from their parents and family to go get that corporate job. So to push them for a startup is not really ethical for us to do necessarily too. So because they do need to have a full-time job when they graduate, and we're considered an economic mobility university, meaning that we're not just rising these students up, but their families up as well financially. They have limited professional networks, social capital, and that's related to coming from families that don't have a lot of financial support, because these are not necessarily professional families with those kinds of contacts and networks that maybe our children would have. They have limited time constraints because they're working and they're commuting, and they're not on campus if they don't need to be. And they do not identify as an entrepreneur, once again, because of minorities, et cetera. So we have a lot of challenges that I did not see when I was teaching in New York and in Michigan, but we definitely have in Cal State. So our goals are to build their confidence, to help them realize that entrepreneurship is not this scary thing, but something that they can do and identify as an entrepreneur, help build their networks and social capital in this space. We provide stipends. We offer free co-curriculars or very minimal charge. And then on top of that, we're offering stipends because we recognize that we're offsetting any lost wages that they have spending time in programs. We view education as lifelong learning, that they may not have that startup early on, but we're hoping what they learn in entrepreneurship, they will take with them and use at a later time. And most entrepreneurs are over 30 anyhow, so that's very realistic. We kind of approach it as this might be side gigs for them to supplement their income. And we only expect to have some startups. And I'm going to talk about that as a challenge a little bit later on. Next slide. So we created the Center for Social and Technology Entrepreneurship. This was created in 2023, so we are still in the seed early stage process. With the center, we have seed funding of about $2 million. but that money is quickly running dry. So we are looking for endowment funding. But the intention was to bring together existing entrepreneurship programs. There was a host of a few things going on across campus, really not integrated together and really not necessarily run well. Bringing them together, but also building out new programs as well to create an integrated whole. We have an entrepreneurship minor and courses on campus. We actually had the most interdisciplinary minor at the CSUN campus, and I believe in this CSU system where students can take courses across campus, and then there's 3 required classes within the business school to learn about the business side of entrepreneurship. We have the NSF I-Corps program. We have a couple of competitions, one in the spring, one in the fall. We have a speaker series, Summer Accelerator. We have a club with over 100 members in it. We have an office hours program where students could sign up to meet with one of our staff to talk about their idea. We have mentor programs. We have seed funding programs. We offer a summer high school boot camp. And the Launch Angelenos program. That's our newest program, which is really interesting. We're working with Notre Dame University on this. I don't know how many of you know Michael Morris at Notre Dame University. He's the endowed professor of entrepreneurship. It's part of the Urban Poverty Business Initiative, and it's a program designed for the community, not necessarily for students, more for community entrepreneurs who probably have launched or close to launching their business, but they need support and help. And we receive funding through Coca-Cola, through Notre Dame. And that program is different. And I just want to kind of, Latha mentioned, how we do it differently. We teach lean startup in many entrepreneurship programs across the U.S. Okay, that's become the model, Steve Blank's model of lean startup. And in fact, that's what we do teach in our courses, entrepreneurship courses. But what Michael is doing with the UPBI program, Launch Angelenos is our name for our program. It's hosted in multiple cities across the U.S. and internationally. There's programs in India. Baruch is hosting it in New York City, etc. But it's not the lean methods in an 80-step program. It's a slow entrepreneurship program. And it's designed for people who are struggling with work, struggling with all sorts of challenges, and they're already economically disadvantaged. So they're also struggling with dealing with those issues. That the idea of the program is to enhance their income so that they could go and even if it's $200-300 a month extra, that can make a difference. In fact, there's been research that showed that $300 more a month in Los Angeles can help people pay that rent, put more food on the table, et cetera. It's really that little bit of amount that can make a difference for people, okay? We also are looking to teach students about the different entrepreneurship journeys. It's about them as an entrepreneur, some self-reflection along the way, the entrepreneurial mindset, but also the startup development and growth, and also the technology innovation process for a tech venture. That's different than a startup venture. You have to manage the technology within the organization. And also, if you have social impact, how do you embed that into the startup development too? And that's been the source of our research that Latha and I have been working on. And we choose to focus on expertise in technology entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, and then the convergence of those two, socio-tech entrepreneurship. Leveraging existing faculty expertise. This is going along with current trends in entrepreneurship. Latha and I were kind of early entrants in this, probably over 10 years ago at this point. We started doing this research. We saw this coming, and it's becoming, in fact, for a Sunstone competition, social impact is the biggest track by far. So it's here. It's already arrived. It's also a way to distinguish from other CSUs because we do compete with the other CSUs for students, in addition to the UC campuses in our area in Los Angeles. And the intention is to become a center of excellence, and specifically in socio-tech entrepreneurship research and education. And we're still ramping up with that. Next slide. Just briefly, why social and tech? It's socio-tech. Well, social entrepreneurship, as I said, it's a growing interest in young entrepreneurs today. And this was reported in the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor reports way back 10 years ago. They started to see this, and it's an international phenomenon. It's not just in the US, not just in California, where many young people really want to have some sort of social impact. And that could be broadly defined. It could be a subsidiary as a nonprofit. It could be in their business model. They could be beneficiaries they donate to. Lots of different ways to do that, but they want to do something good. Technology entrepreneurship has always been the engine of economic development in regard to entrepreneurship in communities because technology can scale. You tend to create good jobs. You have profitable businesses that can scale. So the technology piece is very important for economic development. So we also are focusing on that. And then sociotech entrepreneurship is a hybrid between the two. And this is why our research is in this space, is that you cannot develop a tech venture the same way as a non-tech venture, the same way as a social venture. And the same is true for a sociotech venture. This is a venture who has a technology core. They're leveraging technology to create something, but also they're creating social good. And how do you develop those businesses? And as we're learning through our research, it's complicated and there's a lot of nuances in there. A lot of universities just take the standard entrepreneurship model and just say it's the same for every business, and it's not. And so we're trying to stand out and say that it's not the same, and especially for these kinds of ventures. The next slide, please. So because the center has become the vehicle for our entrepreneurship program in creating this engine at CSUN, we did go through a committee process. We identified 7 key strategic areas that we want to be part of the center. We have curriculum, we have experiential learning, we have a research component, we have student leadership, we have an incubation programs, industry engagement, and community collaboration. These are kind of standard strategic areas that many centers have. Sometimes they don't have the pieces on research or curriculum. We're trying to incorporate all of that because as a university, how are we distinguishing from those local incubators out in the community? Well, it's our research knowledge, right? It's not just for students, but we're creating knowledge as researchers. We want to bend that up. And then we have the 5 different pieces of the entrepreneurship journey, from inspire, learn, to the entrepreneur, the startup, and scale up. Next slide, please. This is probably the key piece that I want to talk about today. This is how we brought together all the pieces of our center and how we're trying to address all the different pieces of learning across the entrepreneurship journey. You see across the top, that ladder, we see the entrepreneurship journey, inspire, learn, the entrepreneur, building them, the startup, scale up, and champions. And then on the left-hand side, we have what the center is doing. That's the CSTE or C-suite. And then below, what's at CSUN, but not necessarily specific to the center. What's in black is what we're doing now. What's in blue is what's in process. And what's in red is something that we hope to do in the future. And this is a dynamic diagram, okay? And what we've done is linked each strategic area to where we're fitting into the entrepreneurship journey. And where we're weak in is actually that scale up and champions, the startup, scale up, and champions as far as outcomes, but also it gives us an idea of what we're hitting on and what we're trying to address in our various programs, whether that's research, experiential learning, working with industry, et cetera. It kind of gives us a map of how we're doing. But I also want to highlight the right-hand side of this. You see the 2 arrows going up on the right-hand side. We're trying to get all students up to that baseline of developing them as entrepreneurs, inspire them, and give them training. There's only some that we expect to have the startups. Okay, that's the line all the way to the right, partly because we recognize that we have students who are not going to necessarily start up when they graduate. They might in the future. We recognize that. In fact, we're dipping into the alumni base more for those kinds of outcomes as far as scale up and startups, because they're out, they're working, and they're more likely to have industry experience as well and some money, and then they might be willing to do something more. So next slide. So some key highlights. As I mentioned, we have the most interdisciplinary minor on campus. We are integrating more and more with the community. For those of you familiar with ACSB accreditation, this is actually the UN Sustainability Goals have been targets for accreditation as well. And so we're working out into the community, and we're specifically not in the broad Los Angeles metro, but specifically the San Fernando Valley. So we are focusing on that. And there is a lack of opportunities and programming available in the community. So we're working to build in the community, but not the community solely, but we're always looking for ways to integrate that back and include our students for a learning paradigm, because that's what we are about. And we're increasing our student engagement. We were working probably with 500 students when we first started. We're getting about 1,500 students a year engaged. But for a campus that's 38,000 students, to me, that's still very low. We should be at 10, 20%. So we're not there by a long shot. We have developed social media campaigns. We're creating awareness, but it's not resulting in engagement. So we're still struggling with getting these students to identify and engage in entrepreneurship. Even though if you ask a class, how many of you would like to be in entrepreneurship someday, you get over a quarter of the class raising their hand. Managing donor expectations is a challenge as well. They want investable startups, and that's just not a reality. Even at any university, it's hard. But at a place like CSUN, it's even harder, and they don't understand how at a UCLA, which is a research institution, how it's a lot easier to do that than it is at a place like CSUN, or we're compared to USC, which is a private institution. Those students have those financial safety nets as well. Kind of developing a value proposition for the students of why they should do it, mapping the success and the journeys of the students statistically. That's still something that's a challenge for us. How do we know what's working, what's not working? And then endowment funding for the center. So next slide. So thank you so much. And this is our website. If you want to check out what the center's doing, gives more information about our program. So I'm happy to answer any questions if we have time. If not, I might go into our short presentations, but I think it created awareness of a place like CSUN, some of the challenges, but I also joined CSUN exactly for these challenges. I really want to make a difference in what we're doing. And I came from New York Institute of Technology, where my students were driving fancier cars than me and could afford to live in Manhattan. And they just wanted the checkbox of a degree. And if they wanted to be ambitious, they could. They had the financial security to volunteer for things and not have to worry about payment. And they also had jobs after graduation with the families and through the networks if they needed to. So it's just very different. So I feel really inspired by what's going on at CSUN as well. Thank you.